Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. The great Rich Gannon's on. Before we get to Rich, Mike, real quick, great job. So I understand you have a plug. What do you at the Broadway Comedy Club when?
This Sunday, 9 p.m., but I'm headlining, actually.
This Sunday, 9 p.m., Broadway Comedy Club in Midtown Manhattan. Mike Boschetti will be headlining. Get tickets now. Get them now, all right? And we'll mention it later in the show.
I appreciate
later
it,
in the
buddy.
show, we'll mention more. Great job, buddy. You can always plug if you want. Remember that. On the phone now is a great ex-NFL quarterback. He played with the great John Ritchie as well with the Raiders. And we'll talk some football with this guy. Rich Gannon, what's up, buddy?
Artie, how you been, brother? I missed you at the fantasy draft last year.
I know. My expertise didn't make it this year. I came in second, though. Not bad.
Yeah, I think you had Pilar picking your team, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a lot of help. Put it that way. We needed a lot of help. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I am really excited to come into New York City, and I'll be there all next week. And I'm excited.
Awesome.
I'm excited for a Super Bowl outside. I know people are kind of frowning on this whole deal and the weather and everything. Hey, look, relax. It's football. Football was meant to be played outside. I think it's gonna be a great Super Bowl.
Well, Rich, wait
I'm
till
with you.
Yeah, well, reserve that comment till you get off the plane here in New York.
Well, no, Rich is in Minnesota.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty,
I know. Yeah, it's
pretty
the same
cold
thing.
there.
Your old buddy John Ritchie's here.
Yeah.
Hey, John. Hey, buddy. You're doing a great job. I watch you guys all the time, and
Really? Nice.
Absolutely. I've been missing. I just think you guys got a terrific show.
Wow. Thanks. I listen to you on Sirius all the time. That's where I learn everything. Yeah, but I don't tell anyone that I just steal all your stuff.
Well, first of all, Rich, you having fun doing that? How's the show going?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's been a really I get a chance to talk football, which is a lot of fun, and of course, I got a chance to on the weekends to go around to the NFL games. I got a chance to work with Marv Albert. Obviously that's
amazing.
And he's he's a legend, guys. He's he's in his 70s. He's still doing it. He's still got the great calls. Yes.
Yeah.
But I love Marv, and it's a lot of fun.
The Jets are in the red zone. I used to do a better Marv Albert. I'm getting older. I can't do it. I'm gonna get out of the way for a little bit. You and your old buddy talk some football here. I think that's what people want to hear. Go ahead.
Hey, Rich, you still keep up with the Vikings, I guess, being a local guy, right?
Yeah, I follow all the teams, John. I sure do. And the Vikings, they're like a number of other teams out there, man. If they can only get a quarterback, they may be competitive.
Yeah, tell me about it. What do you think? There's any you lend any credence to these Adrian Peterson possible trade rumors?
I don't think so. He just had this groin surgery, I suppose, yesterday. I think he was in Philadelphia, actually, back in your neck of the woods. And he's just too good of a player. Mike Zimmer just came on board, the defensive coordinator from Cincinnati. And I think, when you look at this team, he's got to rebuild the defense, but he doesn't want to start over at running back. I just think AP's too good of a player. They've got to get the quarterback situation straightened out. You look at this division. You've got Jay Cutler in Chicago. You got Stafford in Detroit. You got Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. The Vikings don't have that flamethrower, and that's the big reason why they fired Leslie Frazier.
Yeah. Do you think? I don't know. Did Norv Turner officially get hired, or is that?
Norv's going to be the offensive coordinator. So
that's big.
So you got a guy that knows a little something about offense, can coach the quarterback up, and I think what they'll do, guys, is I think they'll keep Matt Castle. He's a guy that they kind of like, and I think to go out and draft a quarterback, or they got to create some competition. But I think when you look at the Vikings, got to move on from Christian Ponder, and my guess is Josh Freeman will leave as well in free agency.
Yeah. Hey, I think our Super Bowl in San Diego was the last time that there was just 1 week prep time before the Super Bowl, and I guess they're not going to do that ever again.
Was it the last year that happened?
I'm pretty sure.
It was the last year, and it was a bad deal. Look, it was a bad deal for us.
Yeah.
Particularly us, because we were the older team, but it was a bad deal for the Buccaneers as well. Look,
because they played the late game, and then they were flying across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad deal for everybody. You really needed 2 weeks, guys. As you know, to get the first couple of days, the logistics with travel and tickets and hotel rooms and all the family stuff. And
it's nuts.
Media day, and you lose a whole day for travel. You lose another day on media day Tuesday. We spent the whole week. I can remember being in the basement of that hotel out there in San Diego just till midnight, just trying to catch up on film. We're so far behind, and anyway, it is what it is. You get a chance to play in these games. You love to have the 2 weeks to prepare, and I think this is going to be a great game. I really do, guys. I think everyone's talking about Denver. I think people don't realize how good the Seattle defense really is.
Yeah, who do you if assuming we get snow or just inclemency
If it's
in
like
any
it is
form,
now, if it's like it is today, it's going to be insanely, an insane story about how the weather affects the game. This is brutal weather outside.
it is cold.
And it's
Awfully
not
cold.
snowing.
Awfully cold. It's windy. Who do you think inclemency favors here? Because I initially I felt like the NFC team, being that they were, whoever won, 49ers or the Seahawks, because they could run the ball better and play tough defense, I felt like they would have an advantage in the inclement weather. But now I'm thinking about it. I mean, if it's snow, then it's hard to stay with receivers, especially if you're playing man defense like the Seahawks like to do. Who do you think inclemency favored?
Well, John, you bring up a good point about the snow. It's hard to the defensive back's got to react. The one thing is you can't get a pass rush. Remember the Tuck rule game? I hate to bring that one up, but Brady they threw the ball almost every play the second half, and we just couldn't get off the field defensively. But I think if it's cold, I think if you're Seattle, you want the cold, you want the wind, you want the sleet,
Definitely
whatever
wind.
you can possibly get, because that's not going to help the passing game. Seattle wants to run the football. Russell Wilson throws the ball about 25 times a game. That's his average all year.
Yeah.
They can play good defense. But, I don't think that, Denver, look, they played Peyton Manning. This isn't his first rodeo. He's his third third Super Bowl. And they have such – there's a reason why, this is the number one offense in football. It's a reason why they scored – over 600 points this year. They have 38 points a game. I mean,
wow.
So they're going to be tough to stop regardless of the weather.
What is the record? Is that the record? Most points in a year?
They scored. They scored. I think it was 606 points as the NFL record. They averaged about 38 points a game.
Yeah.
They outscored their opponents by 207 points this year.
I was going to say
amazing.
Whose record? Whose record did they beat? Because the '84 Dolphins, with Duper and Clayton and Marino, they had to have a high.
Well,
whose record did they beat?
What about the greatest show on turf?
That's right.
99. I think even the Minnesota Vikings had a year. I think one year where they I think the year Randall Cunningham was here. They put up a lot of points.
Yeah.
So, but hey, look, you got to marvel at Peyton Manning, 37 years old guy, thrown for 55 touchdowns, almost 5,500 yards, and he's got 4 receivers that have 10 touchdowns or more. You got Demaryius Thomas with 14, and Decker with 11, and Walker with 10. You got Julius Thomas with 10. I mean, one thing about Peyton Manning is that he doesn't discriminate. He's going to throw to the guys open, but man, he's got quite a group there.
Hey, Rich, how old were you when you were the NFL MVP?
I was 37, but that was my first MVP.
It's amazing.
That was my only MVP. Guys, but you look at Peyton; he's 37. This will be his 5th. Can you imagine? They ought to rename the award the Peyton Manning Award.
What was the difference, Rich? I'm fascinated. Not being an athlete myself that made it to that level, and like every other man, I'm frustrated about that. Probably. What's the difference between a 24-year-old Rich Gannon and a 37-year-old Rich Gannon that might put him over the top to be that good?
Artie, I think it's experience. I think it's being in the right place, the right time. My first 6 years in the league, I think I had 4 different coordinators, and you're really learning and trying to. When I first came out into the league and I came out of Delaware, I was no more ready to play than some high school. I just wasn't ready to play. And,
Well, weren't people trying to make you like a running back or a DB?
I was actually drafted by the Patriots to make me a defensive back. So it took me a little while.
Rich was a 4.4 guy.
Wow.
But I finally got some good coaching, and I got in the system that made some sense. You get experience, and I can't tell you how important that position. You think about, and here's the one thing where I think a lot of teams make mistakes. If you look at Tom Brady, you look at Peyton Manning, you look at Aaron Rodgers, look at Drew Brees. These guys, for the most part, have been in one system their entire career.
Right.
And then you look at a guy like Alex Smith. The first 6 years in San Francisco, he had 5 different coordinators and 5 different playbooks. I mean, it's like learning German one year, Spanish the next year. I mean, you just can't. There's no carryover. There's no continuity. And I think what's interesting is you look at the Patriots. When Brady started in New England, his offensive coordinator was Charlie Weiss. When Charlie left, they promoted a guy that no one ever heard of in Josh McDaniels. When Josh left, they promoted another guy that no one ever heard of in Bill O'Brien. Yeah. And so my point is that he promotes from within, not a lot changes, and you want to keep that continuity around the quarterback. That is absolutely critical.
Hey, when you think back to your MVP season, when you're talking about it to people, do you ever find yourself saying, I couldn't have done any of that without John Ritchie in my backfield?
Bro, and I don't say this just because we're wrong, but I was fortunate. I played with a lot of good players, but
Yeah.
You were a special one. I can still remember at my first couple of weeks.
We're out of time, Rich. Thank you.
I know. I'll tell you a quick story. I remember my first couple of weeks there in Oakland, and I remember John Gruden said to me, he said, "Hey, you got this fullback?" He said, "He's the smartest guy on the team, and he tells everybody what to do. So if you got a different halfbacks in there, it's okay. John just tells them what to do."
Yeah.
Really, we developed a system which probably wasn't really good that way, and that these guys became reliant on him. So that if he wasn't in the game, they had to turn to me and go, "Hey, what do I got?" So I mean, we all relied on the smart guy from Stanford.
That's so nice.
You guys were that Raider team was a fun team to watch, and I watched that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I watched that Super Bowl. I'm not going to say you guys owe me $10,000. I watched that Super Bowl at the Mirage in Vegas at their party, the Mirage Super Bowl party, and I took you guys. Listen, there's no hard feelings.
Artie, I'll tell you, the best team that we had, really, I think, was in 2000. John will tell you, we were the number one rushing team in football. And I got
That's when Siragusa broke
right. Right.
But that was a really, really good football team. And honestly, that was a team that could have won a Super Bowl. And I think and looking back on my time with John in Oakland, I think the worst thing that ever happened to us was after the 2001 season. We lost the Tuck Rule game, and we came back to Oakland, and the owner decided to trade the head coach. I mean,
right.
That was the worst decision that Al Davis ever made.
I agree.
John Gruden. I mean, we were on a roll. We could have won a couple Super Bowls.
Yeah.
All our crew, but that was really a bad deal for the Oakland Raiders.
And it directly affected you the next year, where Gruden just uses everything he knows about you to win the game. I mean, it really is
not good. It's not good. And we had a lot of stuff. And looking back on it, we had some issues. I always said that we had to overcome some adversity in our own building, Artie, and then try and go out and win. We had all kind of things going on. John's aware of it. We just had some guys, and it's just everybody. They march to the beat of a different drummer, and it's just you do the best you can with what you got. But we accomplished a lot. We had a lot of great teams together. And of course, we played with a lot of great guys.
Could have been an absolute dynasty.
I hate to real quick. I hate to tell you this. Tony Siragusa has been a friend of mine since I'm 17.
Oh, Goose is a good man. Yeah.
Any ill feelings towards that play?
No, you know what?
I have them.
I mean, obviously, look, that guy.
Well, John missed the block.
Out. Yeah, I know how that works. But you know what? He was a really, that was a good team. That was a really.
They were, man.
All the defense.
Not as good as us, though.
They couldn't do a darn thing offensively. I mean, to win a Super Bowl and be that bad on offense, I think that was amazing. I mean, but you look at that team, how good they were. No one could run against them.
Yeah.
They had two good corners that could cover. Rod Woodson was a safety. I mean, you had a young Ray Lewis in there. I mean, that was a really, really good defense.
Yeah, speaking of the defensive side of things, how do you feel like Seattle secondary can match up with these Denver receivers?
If anyone can, it's them, right? I mean,
yeah, you'd think. I mean, they got the number one, pass defense in football. What they do is, they got 44 sacks on the year. That's the one thing people aren't talking about.
Yeah, without blitzing.
13 different players at least. One sack, so they come from everywhere. But here's the deal. So much is going to be made next week about Richard Sherman and that matchup and all this kind of stuff. I think he's going to be a non-factor. I really do. He's their best cover guy. Peyton, all things being equal, is going to work away from him. I think really where Denver is going to attack is in the middle of the field. I think you'll see a lot of those crossing routes, linebackers and safeties. That's really who they'll go after a little bit. I think they'll work away from Richard Sherman. And I just, you look at. You can only play so much man-to-man coverage, and somebody's going to have to cover inside. Who's going to cover Wes Walker?
Yeah.
Who's going to cover Julius Thomas? It's not like they're just going to put Demarius Thomas out there on Richard Sherman all day. They're going to move him around. So I think they're really going to make that secondary work.
Well, they're going to motion. They're going to run the crossing routes and that sort of stuff.
I got to ask you guys, as two great offensive players from the NFL. This Richard Sherman thing with how he, went nuts with Aaron Andrews. All these idiots on Twitter made that into a racial thing. Like, forget all that crap. Just throw all that out. How do you use that as a motivational tool when a player goes off like that and sort of throws down the gauntlet? How does Peyton Manning and the rest of that offense, or how would you guys use that to motivate you? Do you run that film of him going crazy like that and then saying, like, this is the guy we want to beat and use it to motivate you?
I don't think so. Look, he's a really good player, and he's actually a really good guy, as you know. And I just think that, in a moment of, excitement, I think he lost his mind for a second. I mean, he's got his teammate, Malcolm Smith, laying on the ground with an interception. Rather than go celebrate with him, he chooses to go after Michael Crabtree.
Right. Bad decision in a heated-up moment, though. Yeah.
It is what it is. Look, you move on. Hey, you make a mistake, come out, apologize, you move on, and it is what it is. You got young kids at home watching TV. That's not what you want to show them. But what I would say is that, Peyton Manning, look, those guys have a lot of respect for Richard Sherman. They're not going to use it. Trust me, there's plenty of motivation out there.
Yeah.
And it's that Vince Lombardi trophy. That's all these guys care about right now.
Hey, Rich, can we keep Rich another segment? Can you wait can we?
Yeah, I got some time.
We got to take a commercial break. We're having a good time here, and I think John has a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Right? So do us a favor, man. We really appreciate it. Give us a few minutes here. We'll take a break.
All right, sounds good, guys.
Thank you, Rich.
Come back with Rich Gannon after this. Back with the great Rich Gannon on the Artie Lange Show. John, I'll go right to you.
Hey, Rich, thanks so much for sticking around, man. Hey, I saw that no one on Seattle's team has ever been to the Super Bowl. Do you feel like that is positive or a negative? In some ways, I feel like it might be a good thing.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know what to expect. And look, this is a young team, but I would say this, this is a team that's got a lot of swagger, a lot of confidence. I mean, you just watch how they play, you watch how they compete. Mm-hmm. But I do think, John, there's something about experience in a game like this, and particularly at the quarterback position. And I think you look at Peyton Manning going to his third Super Bowl, whereas Russell Wilson, is kind of young. And the other thing is you look at how Seattle wins, and basically it's by dominating you defensively, taking the ball away, creating field position, running the ball with Marshawn Lynch, and being sound in the kicking game. It's not like they're going to light you up in the passing game. And I think it's going to be really key for Seattle to get off to a good start. If they fall behind by a couple scores and have to throw it a bunch, that's not how they're built.
Well, that's how the Broncos are built. They get up on people, and that's just what they do. So it'll be interesting to see if they stick with the run, Seattle. But
they get up on your grill.
Do you feel like Marshawn Lynch can have success against the Broncos front? I mean, Terrence Knighton single-handedly dominated that game against the Patriots. Do you think the Seahawks can have more success running it?
Look, I think he's going to get his, John. But I just don't think it's going to be a huge, huge day. I mean, I think the one thing about Seattle is they're very disciplined. They're going to stay with the running game regardless. They're going to do that as much as they can. But just look at what Denver has done defensively this year when it comes to the running game. They actually were 7th in run defense.
Yeah.
They really shut down Ryan Matthews in the first playoff game. They discouraged the Patriots in the first half of the game last week, and then, of course, they got that lead, and then they forced you to throw the football. And that's really what they want to do, and that's what they've done all year. It's why they won 13 games. I think it's, if you try and make them one-dimensional, which is what Jack Del Rio and the Denver defense will try and do with Seattle, I mean, they're just going to try and take away Marshawn Lynch and make Russell Wilson throw the ball 35, 40 times in this game.
That's how you win, man. You take away Marshawn Lynch and put it on Wilson the way he's been playing. He's inconsistent. They're going to win the game.
I feel like Jack Del Rio, you're going to put 9 guys in the box and see how that works. But now that they have Percy Harvin coming back, I mean, he can take the top off the defense. Maybe that's risky to have one safety deep. I think that'll be interesting. But another thing I was looking at is Seattle, they run a lot of inside zone, like 94, 95 out of all their heavy personnel groupings. And that means that they're double teaming that nose tackle, the one technique, in the 4-3 or the nose tackle in the 3-4. And that's Terrence Knighton, who tore it up. And if they're doubling him, they can get movement on Terrence Knighton and, let Marshawn Lynch do his thing. I think it's going to be a fascinating matchup. But anyway, Rich, hey, if you're in town, we gotta get together and maybe go to dinner and
let's blow it out.
We can show you the studio. You can swing by.
I'll be in town all week. I'll be at Radio Row doing some stuff for CBS Sports Network. So let's hook up. I would love to see you guys and
awesome.
go out and have a beer.
Let's do it. The 3 H's: homies, whores, and hooch.
Sounds good, brother.
Rich, man. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I look forward to talking to you again, and I'll talk to you.
Have a great day, great night, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks,
all right,
man.
buddy.
Love you.
The great Rich Gannon. Again, might have had a little bit of a better career with some better blocking in the backfield. He loves you, clearly, and he should. The Artie Lange Show, back after this.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.